All right, welcome back to DTR's YouTube channel. As always, I'd like to start out by saying thanks to all who've been tuning in and checking out the videos. Always remember to hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed by now, please subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Let's get on with the next video. Okay, we're back with our 442 project. We recently sent the body out to get sandblasted in its necessary areas. And as usual, after sandblasting, there were a lot of surprises that showed up. And we're going to take a look at some of those in this video and talk about how they're going to be addressed. All right, so here we got our body, and really what I had sandblasted was just the outer exterior paint. The underside of the body was in really nice shape, and the original undercoating was all pretty much intact. And based on how nice the floors were, I didn't feel it necessary to sandblast the underside. But what we have left here, as you can see, is we have all this original seam sealer in here. The sandblasting doesn't take that off. What I'll have to do now is I'll have to go around all these areas with a torch and a wire brush and get this stuff cleaned out. Now, you don't necessarily have to, but what I've found in the past, and this body being a little bit better than average, is the seam sealer is usually put on the bodies when they're bare metal. And a lot of times what you'll find in worst cases is all this seam sealer will be lifting off because moisture had gotten behind it and it's all started to rust because there's no protection on the metal underneath the seam sealer. So I feel it's better to, especially at this point, get all of this junk off of here and get it all cleaned off. If there's any potential rust areas, get that cleaned up as best as possible, and then get all those areas epoxy primered before anything else goes on, just to give the metal that extra protection. Now, up front in this firewall cowl area, as I've been saying about this car, it is better than average. A lot of times these panels down here, from debris from the cowl laying down in here, these areas rot out pretty badly, and this car is pretty good. I do have one little area right here that I got some holes, but again, this is a pretty simple repair to fabricate and weld back in. That's the, I'm going to say that's the majority of it, or pretty much all of it as far as the firewall goes. Usually on these cars, there's a lot of, these old cars, there's a lot more that needs to get done, but there's definitely more I'm going to show you. The rocker panels, these things are sound and solid. The pillars are great. The car I did last year, the 68, Impala. That thing had some pillar work that I had to fabricate and weld in, but these are nice, so I won't have to be doing that. Dash is all sandblasted. There is some minor damage on the bottom side, some dents and whatnot. I'll have to fix, but as far as welding goes, it's in good shape. These posts here, again, on both sides are fantastic. They came out nice. But then there's some areas that aren't as nice, and take a quick look at them. All right, before we get into some serious business, let's go back to the trunk area here. And here again, we got some very common areas on these cars that this rot happens, and we got some rust coming through here. Still got some old seam sealer in there to get it out. There's some rust holes back to here. A little bit of, you know, some stuff growing. That'll have to be removed, but that's because that's right where this floor brace is, and from here the brace looks fine, but what has happened is moisture and such has gone in between here, and that's what causes that rust to happen. We also have some, you know, space. This isn't supposed to be like this. There's junk in between there. I mean, the metal all looks good. I could probably get this cleaned out, get it clamped back together, blow some holes in there, and weld it all back together and be right back in business. So again, I didn't blast the bottom of this car just because it's clean and in good shape, and didn't really show me any signs of a mess that, you know, I would need to blast it. Because if you're gonna do any kind of rust work, it's good to get the undercoating and stuff off before you weld. And when you start welding and you're welding through metal or around metal with all this undercoat on, it gets pretty toxic. But it's not the easiest job either to get this undercoating off, because in most cases sandblasting, depending on how thick it is, won't take it off. So you have to again go around with a torch and a wire brush and get all this crap off of here, which again isn't the greatest job in the world, and again can be kind of toxic. Something I like to pull the car outside and do that kind of job outside where there's a lot of air movement. But down, I mean, there's a lot of potential areas on these bodies where things go bad, and this body's really sound. I do have a bolt I got to heat up and get out of here. I got some welding work to finish from the earlier videos of when I put the quarters on. Got to finish some little patches in here, and I got another little patch in here I got to fill in to meet my wheelhouse. But that's my trunk floor, and as just on that side I have some down here as well. There's some rot going on down here in the same type of area. There's this had a piece of duct tape over it. I'm not sure why that's like that. I'm gonna assume it might be from yeah, it's right around this area. So I'm not sure why that is like that, why somebody would have put an access panel there, or did it rust out like that? I don't know. But again, a pretty simple spot to fix. You know, back here we got a lot of seam sealer and junk around this the trunk latch pillar, and I'll clean up some of this seam sealer around this trunk floor, get that all cleaned out. There's some of it I can leave go that's pretty sound and shouldn't be an issue, but I'll get most of this out of here. Now on to bigger and better problems. This is a very common problem with these cars. If you can see what I'm showing you here, we've got all kinds of rust and rot. Now there's a couple different ways I could have done this. You can replace this entire cowl panel, which is the upper cowl, this inner panel, and it goes all the way up to here. Oops, all the way up to here. I've chosen not to do that because most of this is in really good shape. It's just this. So I'm getting some sort of repair panel to go in here where the windshield will then lay, and then after that I'll have to fabricate the dash to then meet that part, because the dash, unlike Camaros or Chevelles or other cars, this car, the entire dash is the entire dash. So you can't replace that, and there's nothing available to replace it. But the vents are all intact. The speaker area is somewhat intact, other than these cobbled holes that were put in. And that about covers that. But for now, all of this old silicone and urethane has to get cleaned off. All this seam sealer needs to get cleaned out, and then this, all the bare metal will get epoxied so that no further corrosion happens. All right, so as we can see, all the old globs of seam sealer are all burned out. You can see the patchwork that has to be done on the floor a little better. Got some of the body sanded already. Wheelhouse gonna need a little repair there. It's a very common area on any of these old GM cars. Moving ahead, you can see our rusty holy spot there, have to be fixed. And here we can see all the seam sealer all cleaned out. Wire wheeled, prepped for epoxy to really encapsulate the metal real good, preserve this car longer than So that's where we're at. So I got a little bit of sanding to do. And then I got to get this body to the point where I'm going to flip it over 180 degrees upside down and get it blown off a little bit more and get the body put into epoxy. Okay, so we got our body all epoxied. All the edges hit real good. I started with a black epoxy and went underneath the dash and inside the door pockets. This might be weird to see, but I got the firewall coated with a nice coat of epoxy. Tried to get into all the little cavities, get something on everything, as well as inside the quarters and especially along the weld where the quarters are welded. There's a good bit of coating on all of that. The insides of the quarters, again, I hit with black first. I went underneath this filler panel here, the shelf. I got that coated. Got some material on there. And then tried to dust some epoxy on all the spots that the sandblaster got a little crazy on, but that's okay, it's all coated. The floor is a little crustier than I had hoped, but that's no big deal. I've got a process for doing the trunk floors to make them look really good, and this is all, we're looking at this sideways, so it looks kind of weird. But again, everything is all epoxied and coated. In other cases, I would always go with a sanding primer right after epoxy. I don't want to do that. I've got, here you can see, before I get into that, here you can see this dash, how bad it is. Really, the white epoxy really emphasizes it. But back to what I was saying, I got so many like different things. I got that dash to fix. I got the trunk floor to do some fabrication on, the wheel liners, finish, fix those where they're rusted through. The other one is, I believe, rusted through as well. Yeah, well, it's not rusted through, but it has this big space, so I gotta fix that up. And then I got the corners in here that I didn't finish yet. This section here, I'll have to cut this out and finish this off, close off this trunk drop, finish welding this on, finish welding here. So I've got all around this car, and then I got my little colony there. I gotta put a patch panel over or make a patch panel and repair. But I'm gonna, for now, I just wanted to get this raw steel coated with something, didn't want to cause any more flash rusting. And I'm gonna move the car back into the main shop. I will use my rotisserie to my advantage to work on each area at the best angle possible. And once I get all the incidental welding work done, I'm going to go back to the this dash repair. I did get a repair panel that's going to take up this space. It's going to take up part of the dash and recreate the actual ledge or the layer where the windshield will lay. But it comes up into here, and then it's just a section coming down, and we're gonna take a look at that in an upcoming video. But this video was to just show some of the steps that have been taken from the sandblasting stage up until this stage of epoxy and making this body weather tight, let's say. So there's our 442 body. All ready for the next steps. All right, so thanks again for watching. Always remember to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to be notified for all the upcoming videos here at DTR. Follow along with this 442 project, along with everything else going on in the shop. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.